Welcome to the Ultimate Lillia Guide. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to build on Lillia, how to path on Lillia, how to clear on Lillia, and how to win games on Lillia. So if that's what you're looking for, this is the guide for you. If you guys don't know me, it's rank 1 Lillia NA. I had 2 accounts in Challenger at the same time playing only Lillia. I got rank 20 NA as my peak rank, and now I'm on EU West. I got a 68% win rate on Lillia, and I'm rank 1 on League of Graphs on EU West as well. The chapters are marked below if you need them. So without further ado, enjoy the guide. So first things first, we're going to go over her passive and abilities. So your passive is that any monster or champion you hit will get this mark over them, which is your Dream Dust. And it's going to do damage over time. So pretty much all 3 of your basic abilities will apply Dream Dust, except for your ultimate, right? So your ultimate is the only ability where you don't apply your passive. The first ability we're going to look at is her Q, which is her bread and butter ability. Now, it has 2 parts. It has a passive that gives you movement speed. Scaling off your AP, it stacks up to 4 times. So every time you hit a champion with a spell, any of your spells, it's going to give you a prance stack. So what you can do, use all of your spells. Now we have 4 stacks of prance and we're way faster. And again, just like ultimate doesn't apply this, okay? So the next part is her active, which is the AoE spin. Now, there's 2 hitboxes on this spell. The inner hitbox does less damage, and the outer hitbox does extra damage, pretty much doubling your damage, but the extra damage is true damage. So, very important that when you're kiting your camps or your team fighting, that you really try to hit the outer Q on the main camp or the main target you're going for. Next up is her W. Her W pretty much lets you dash, and then it does damage, and it also has 2 hitboxes. As you can see, there's a tiny little hitbox in the center. So if you read the tooltip, it does triple damage in the center than on the outside. So this is going to be very important for our ultimate, which we'll get to later. Now, Lillia's E is her ranged ability, okay? So this one is also AoE, as it can hit many targets, but this one, you throw it out, and it goes on forever. And so what's really important is, let's spawn a new dummy. First target you hit, it actually bursts out into a cone. So you'll always hit people behind them in like a cone. Sometimes you'll be just throwing this out mid lane, and you might hit 1 person, but the cone hits like 2 people behind them, and then you can just ultimate and go from there. Last but not least is Lillia's ultimate. So this is the Lilting Lullaby. Pretty much what this does is, if you have your passive on 1 or more champions, you're going to be able to use your ultimate to put them to sleep. And the way it works is that, you hit your targets, you press your ult, they're going to be drowsy, and as you can see, you'll see above their health bar the duration of the drowsy and the duration of the sleep. So it's really important that you try to time your abilities maybe right towards the end of the sleep, or you want to get in 1 extra Q while they're still drowsy so that you can then WQ again when they're asleep. Very important that you look above their health bar and you take notice of these little bars that are counting down for you. And the reason I mentioned you might want to wait towards the end of the sleep is because a lot of times you might go in, you ultimate, and then you want to wait for your team to position themselves or, catch up so that you guys can all combo your spells at the same time. It's kind of the same thing as Zoe's sleep. So as you get to higher ranks, your teammates will know and understand this concept more. But in lower elos, you might get griefed, but it's okay. So now that we know all of Lillia's spells, I'm going to give you guys the tips and tricks to use her spells correctly, okay? So the first thing is, you always want to make sure you're thinking about the outer part of your Q. That's really obvious. But the most important part about your Q is the way it interacts with your flash, okay? So I just want you guys go to practice tool and test this out. So 2 things you could do. You could either flash Q or Q flash. Which one do you think is better? Some champions' abilities interact differently with flash, but this is how Lillia's interacts, okay? So I'm gonna flash Q. And it looks like that. It looks like decently fast, but let's Q flash now. You see, like, my animation starts over here, so you can kind of surprise people. You can do a lot of weird things, like maybe fake them out. And just like that, they'll see you wind up, okay? Either way, they'll see you wind up. Would you rather do this? Or would you rather do this? This one is clearly way more surprising. It's going to catch people off guard, and they're not going to be able to flash in time most of the time, unless they predict you. Next up, I just want you guys to think about your W is kind of a spell that's really, it's really easy to dodge. It's super slow, right? And so a lot of times when you're fighting early game, you kind of just have to predict, and maybe you'll hit the center. If you do hit the center, it's really strong. A lot of times I'll, if I'm cheesing someone, I'll sit in the bush, and then as they enter the bush, I'll try to W, but I'm not in vision. and that way you can catch people off guard. But early game, you know, it's pretty hard to hit this on champions. The reason this spell is so powerful, think about it, triple damage, plus when you sleep people, they take an extra 100 damage, you know, like right now, I mean, I have 9 AP, but late game, this does even more damage. So when you ultimate people, the best spell to hit is your W, because that's guaranteed triple damage plus your, you know, sleep damage. It's just gonna one-shot a lot of people. Now, the way to use your E, a lot of times I will not use my E from long range, okay? Unless I'm just, you know, if I'm passing by mid lane here, I'll throw my E out, but I won't ever gank people. Like, imagine I'm ganking here. Let's say the enemy team's over here, okay? I just want to teach you guys a pretty easy concept. If you're ganking, okay? First of all, if you're ganking, you should always, you know, try to wrap around. If they don't have vision, especially, you have time. You wrap around, you're coming behind someone like this. A lot of Lillia players I see will try to throw their E, you know, a little in front of them, and try to hit it like this. I don't want you guys to do this. I don't want you guys to throw your E anywhere over here in the river or anything. I want you guys to walk up to people, right? To them, and then, based on if they have flash or not, if they have flash, you wait for them to flash, you know, and then you chase them, and you try to E on top of them. So I always early game, you know, I'll start off gank like this, you know, I'll QW, and then I'll chase them, and then I will just E right there on top of myself. And the reason you do this, if you're coming from behind, right, they already have to walk through you, so you don't want to use your spell that's really easy to flash before they flash. They have to walk through you, so they'll likely flash. So, you know, try to get your E as close to them as possible, maybe wait for their flash. That's my pro tip with your E. The next thing I want to show you guys, a lot of times you're 1v1ing early game, you really want to burst with your ult. You have your cooldowns, you ult like this, then I EW, Q. And the reason I do this is because you sleep them, right? They're guaranteed, if you're on top of them, your E is guaranteed, right? But your E is going to slow them by 40%. So you ult, right? And then you EW. It's very hard for them to actually dodge the W if they don't have flash. If they do have flash, it might be better to just Q or like WQ. But you never lead with your Q, okay? Most of the time when I'm fighting, most of the times the way I use my spells in fights is like this, okay? First, like, I'll apply my Dream Dust somehow, then I'll ultimate, and then I'll Q them before they go to sleep, and then W, and then, you know, usually your Q will come back a few seconds later. That's kind of how, like, the order of operations go. You never want to wake people up with your Q unless you're about to kill them, you know? Like, they're super low, you're about to kill them. But if you have access to these two, usually you just want to W or E. But this changes, okay, later in the game, sometimes you just want to get the damage out. You're going to have to use your Q because your W and E kind of stun you in an animation. In a team fight, sometimes you don't want to be just stuck in your W, get interrupted, get stunned and killed, okay? So sometimes you'll just go for the Q. Now, I know you guys might be a little overwhelmed. There's a lot of, you know, caveats, if, ands, buts, but it's up to you guys to listen to what I'm saying, right? Try to understand it, to apply it to your own game, and that's how you get really good at League of Legends. If you can take these concepts I'm telling you, you know, why I do this, when I do that, and then you actually apply it to your own game, you'll understand what's correct in every situation, be a way better player. Now, the final trick I really want to show you guys that can win you a lot of games in the mid game is once you have Secret's Armguard or Zhonya's, you can go for some huge plays, okay? And I want you guys to start thinking to yourselves, okay, do I have ult? Do I have flash? And do I have Seeker's Armguard or Zhonya's? If you have, you know, if you have flash ult early game, that's great. You can go for a lot of good plays early game. In the mid game, if you have all three, that's your signal that you can carry a fight. So the combo is same from earlier. You're gonna use your Q flash, but then while they're drowsy, you're gonna Zhonya's. So that's what it looks like. The reason you go for this combo, when you're playing against a team comp where, you know, you might flash Q in, but you'll get one shot before they fall asleep. While they're drowsy, you know, they can still hit you. So this is really good when you want to survive. And then when you get out of your Zhonya's, they're still going to be asleep and you can combo them. There are three main builds that I've been running currently on Lillia. That is the main build, standard build, and full AP build. Before we jump into the details, I want to tell you guys why I've been going the main build instead of the standard build. And that is because a few patches ago, Riftmaker got nerfed in a way where, like, they fixed a bug. The bug was making Riftmaker do double damage. So now, effectively, the damage of the activated passive from Riftmaker got halved. So I switched to Rylai's instead of Riftmaker. And that's kind of the only difference between the main build and the standard build. So now to get into each item of the build. Landry's is the best item on Lillia. It gives her health, ability power, and a burn. So all of these stats synergize super well with Lillia, and you want to build Landry's first no matter what build you're going. And then going down the line in the main build, the reason you go Rylai's is just because, again, it gives you ability power and health, which are two stats that Lillia loves. In order to deal damage as Lillia, you have to go in there because you're pretty much melee. So you're going to take a lot of damage, so building health is one of the best stats for Lillia for that reason. Additionally, Rylai's is going to slow all the people around you, so once you have 4 stacks of Prance, you run around, you hit a Q, they're going to be slowed, and you can run circles around them and outplay them, dodge all their spells, while also hitting them almost guaranteed with all of your spells. Zhonya's is one of the best items on Lillia, especially in the mid game, because when you go into a team fight, you may, Q flash into their team, and you ult, there's still a few seconds where they're drowsy, right? But they're not asleep yet. So in some certain situations, if they have enough CC, enough damage, they might be able to kill you before they actually fall asleep. So once you have Zhonya's, you can completely avoid that little downtime where you might die, and then by the time your Zhonya's wears off, they're all asleep. You can hit your guaranteed abilities on their whole team. Next up is Rabadon's. This item is pretty much just good super late game. AP is very powerful on Lillia the later you go. It's just not a priority, so that's why it's our 4th item. And then for our final item, we have Bloodletter's Curse. The reason this is the final item is because most of the time, you don't actually need a lot of magic shred with Lillia. You don't need magic penetration. And simply because not a lot of champions build that. It's up to you to determine in what team comps, what games is the enemy team stacking magic resists, and do you need to build Bloodletter's Curse. A lot of times Bloodletter Curse synergizes the best with Lillia just because it gives you health as well, but you have to also keep in mind that sometimes Bloodletter Curse is not as valuable as Void Staff, because Bloodletter's Curse is slightly weaker, individually, but as a whole, if you have another AP damage carry in your team, you're going to be providing value to your team as well in team fights by applying that to everyone. And then for the standard build, I've pretty much explained all the items except for Riftmaker. The reason you go Riftmaker in the standard build, it's really powerful against lower damage melee team comps. If you want to go for more of a sustained playstyle, Riftmaker is going to give you Omnivamp when it's fully stacked. It's going to give you health, magic damage. So it's every stat that Lillia could possibly want. The only problem is that it's just a slightly weaker item than it used to be. So that's why I don't really go for Riftmaker every single game. So for our full AP build, we're going to be substituting in the second item Blackfire Torch. Now, the reason you don't go Blackfire Torch in every other build, because, a lot of people ask me, like, why don't you go Blackfire Torch? It's a magic damage item, it's a burn, and the reason you don't go it in the other builds is simply because you want health, not mana in the jungle. Why do you want health and not mana in the jungle? Well, simply because every stat you buy has to make sense. If you're buying mana and you're in the jungle, you're actually gaining mana all the time in the jungle. So your mana issues shouldn't really be a thing on any champion that's in the jungle. That's why a lot of junglers, if you notice, they don't really buy mana items. We're going to build Blackfire Torch second on Lillia in the full AP build because it's going to give us a ton of AP, a ton of burn, and a ton of cooldown reduction. And then in the full AP build, I am a little more selfish with the last item. Void Staff is the most efficient magic shredding item in the game, but you can substitute it for Bloodletter's Curse if that makes sense for your particular game. So now that we know the completed builds, let's go into the early game items that you need to buy on your first couple of recalls. First thing you have to do every game is choose between Green Smite and Blue Smite. I know that 90% of you Lillia mains are going Blue Smite currently, and I just can't agree with that. And my reasoning for that is that Blue Smite got nerfed last season by a lot. Green Smite and Red Smite both got buffed. Red Smite doesn't really make that much sense for Lillia, but Green Smite gives Lillia a small shield that might mean a lot. And the reason it means a lot is because you have Conqueror, you might have Riftmaker, you have your passive, you're stacking burns, you're stacking all this damage throughout a fight. So as the fight goes, Lillia gets stronger. So why don't you want that shield to keep you alive slightly longer, give you more healing in the long run, and in some situations, save you from dying and turn around a fight. That is why in most case scenarios, guys, I build Green Smite. Now, if you want to do Blue Smite because you like going fast, that's fine as well. But if you want the highest win rate item, if you go in coachless, Green Smite is going to give you like a 2.7% increased win rate added probability. Whatever, if you guys believe in that website or not, it is the best statistical choice for Lillia. Now, on your first recall, most of the time, if you just do a normal full clear and recall, you don't get any kills, you'll be recalling with 900 gold, which is just enough to buy Faded Ashes, which is the most critical early game component. If you find yourself having a little extra gold or you're basing on your second recall, you're going to have to consider which 300 gold or 350 gold item you're going to get, which is boots or dark seal. Now, if you look at the graphic, it says cashback by the boots, and that's because if you have magical footwear, you can't actually buy boots. So there's no reason to focus on boots, just buy the dark seal. But if you have cashback, you should buy the boots early, and then when you complete Liandry's, it'll give you that extra 300 gold. And then once you've completed your first item, which is Liandry's, you should have a little extra gold to buy dark seal after that. And then for your boots, you have 4 options. Now, I'm a little biased. I do believe that plated steel caps is the best boot in the game. Whenever the enemy team has, few auto attacking champions, a lot of AD, just go plated steel caps. It's so much value. Every single auto attack does less damage to you. On the other hand, we have Merc Treads, which is one of the more expensive boots in the shop, and they don't give the best stats. But on the other hand, if the enemy team has a lot of magic damage and a lot of CC, I would consider going for Merc Treads. Now onto our third option, which is the Gluttonous Greaves. I want you guys to build this item if you find no reason to build the other two. You should always consider the 2 defensive boots first, but neither of them really make that much of a difference. Just go for the Gluttonous Greaves, try to snowball. They're really good. If you're doing good early game, you can get a lot of kills. Stack them up, pair it with, Riftmaker. You'll be healing so much. And then for our fourth option, we have the Sorcerer's Shoes. Now, I don't really build these boots often, but if you're going to go for the full AP build, these would be the boots to go for. Now, lastly, we're just going to check out the situational items, okay? So first, we have the situational damage items, which is Mage Eyes. Guys, when you build your Dark Seal, if you have enough stacks, maybe 10 stacks, you should always buy Mage Eyes to try to snowball the game even further. When to buy it, in terms of the game, is usually after your Liandry's, okay? Anytime after your Liandry's and before your second item, or even after your second item, in some cases, it is good to buy Mage Eyes, and it's going to do a lot for your movement speed, your snowballing potential. It's just an awesome item. It's really good. Just make sure you build your Liandry's first before buying Mage Eyes. Second, we have Rylai's. It is part of the main build, but this item can be substituted in and out of whatever builds you want. And this item just gives you a lot of health, a lot of ability damage, slows, we already went through it. It's a really good item. Void Staff, this one gives you 40% magic shred, so I would build this item if the enemy team is stacking a lot of magic resist and you need to do damage. Then we have Cryptobloom, which is a slightly weaker and cheaper version of Void Staff, but it does give you some ability haste and some healing, so it's never bad if you don't have the economy to buy Void Staff, or you just want, the ability haste, some healing for your team. This is a very good item. And last, we have Cosmic Drive. I kind of have beef with this item because I do think that it loses value because it kind of takes Lillia beyond the movement speed cap. But this item, it's a fun item. It sometimes can fit if you're snowballing really hard. It might be a good item, but honestly, it's not a priority for me. Next, we have our situational magic resist items. First, we have Banshee's Veil, which is kind of like the opposite of Zanya. So if the enemy team has a lot of magic damage, or they have some kind of CC spell that it's really hard for you to avoid, then you could build this item. And it doesn't always have to replace Zanya's. You can sometimes build Zanya's and Banshee's together, but you just have to make sure that you are snowballing the game, because these items are not that high value in terms of the damage or stats they give you, but they are high value if you build them when you have a 700 gold shutdown, you have a level lead, giving a lot of stats from your levels. These items can be very crucial at preserving your shutdown and closing out a game without dying. Then we have Force of Nature, which is a magic resist item that gives you movement speed and stacking magic resist. As you take damage and CC throughout a fight, you'll get more magic resist. So it's just a solid full tank magic resist item. So if you find yourself in a position where you're not the carry, you really need to survive their AP damage, I would go for this one. Next, we have Spirit Visage. This one is a very good item if you want to pair it with a Riftmaker, because of the Omnivamp. It's going to get amplified by the healing bonus from Spirit Visage. So it's kind of like a healing magic resist item. So sometimes it can be good. And then lastly, we have Abyssal Mask. If you are really useless and you don't want to build, Bloodletter's Curse because you just don't have any money at all, you can buy this item. It's very cheap. Abyssal Mask is going to give you some magic resist, but it's also going to make your team do more damage to the enemy team by reducing their magic resist. Lastly, we have the situational armor items. And here we just have Frozen Heart as our first item. If you're playing against an enemy team that likes auto attacking and they auto attack really fast, you just build Frozen Heart, stand on top of them, and then their attack speed goes down significantly. So it's really good against champions like, Kog'Maw, Kalista, these champions that really want to auto attack and you just want to get in their face, make it hard for them to do damage, and it's very cheap. Next we have Randuin's. This item has a very specific use case. This item has a very specific use case, and that is if the enemy team has 2 or more critical damage champions, like, Graves jungle, Jin 80 carry. You want to take less damage from their crits. Randuin's is going to make their crits do less damage to you, so it's very overpowered into team comps that are building a lot of crit. This one item can sometimes just win you the game. And then lastly, we have Jack Show. This item used to be really good on Lillia, maybe 3 years ago. It's not so good anymore because it increases your already, built magic resist and armor over time as you get into a fight. And the reason it's not so good is because to make it get value, you already have to have a ton of magic resist and armor. So a lot of times on Lillia, you're just not building those items and it doesn't really match well. But if you do end up building a magic resist item, an armor item, and then you just want to round out your build with the Jack Show, it's fine. And you'll fulfill that tank role on your team much better. For the runes, there's only really 2 options, and that's a difference in the minor runes. So pretty much, you're going to go Conquer, you're going to go Triumph, you're going to go Legend Alacrity, and you're going to go Cut Down. So the reason you go Triumph, you get health from kills, you get a little extra gold. Go Conquer because that's just the best synergized rune with Lillia. Heals you, gives you damage over time, stacks as you fight. So it's everything Lillia wants. And then for Legend Alacrity, you go that because it gives you cooldown reduction, the most useful stat out of the 3 options there. And then you go Cut Down because Cut Down is statistically the best out of those 3 runes, almost no matter what. Does more damage to high health targets. Most of the time when fights break out, people are high health. So big surprise there. And for your second inspiration runes, I've been going Cashback a lot recently. So there's a minor variation there. You can either go Magical Footwear or you can go Cashback. Now, the only difference is you kind of got to think a little bit more. When you go Cashback, you want to buy either your tier 1 boots early and then buy your Dark Seal after your Landries, or you're going to buy your Dark Seal early and buy your boots after Landries. Because after completing Landries, you get a little gold boost that gives you enough gold to buy, maybe another component. And then you have Cosmic Insight, which gives you item cooldown reduction, trinket cooldown reduction, and summoner spell cooldown reduction, which is really important because an extra flash in every game, very powerful. So that's really good on Lillia. And then for your minor runes, I go CDR every single time. Then I go Adaptive Shard. And then I go the Scaling Health Shard. You can go the Flat Health Shard if you want, but Scaling one I like better. I like the scale on Lillia, so this is the rune page that I usually go for. The only difference here is you can change it to Magical Footwear if that's what you prefer. let's get into how to actually approach every single game with Lillia. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, where am I pathing? So in the loading screen, just look at both teams, you know, press tab before the game starts, see what's up. Okay, we have double range bot lane. I want to give you guys a few general rules that I go by. When you have double range bot lane, you usually want to path bot lane, okay? It's because double range bot lane is going to be very aggressive early game. They're usually going to push, and they're going to give you bot lane prio for the crab. Then you just kind of think to yourself, like, does the enemy team have double range bot lane, or do they have a melee support? If they have a melee support, you're almost guaranteed prio. But if they also have double range bot lane, it's kind of like a fist fight. You're not really sure which team is going to get prio, but there are some supports that are a little better. Karma Ezreal is one of the lanes that usually gets prio for your first crab. But in this game, we have a different rule that we're going to follow. We have a Jace top lane against a Quinn with Ignite. So this particular game, even though normally I would path towards my Ezreal Karma, I am going to path towards Jace, okay? And like, one part is like, it's Jace in high elo, so I'm more willing to path towards a high elo Jace. But also, you know, the enemy Quinn has Ignite, so if we do kill her, she won't be able to TP back, so she'll lose the waves for free. So those are kind of the things you got to think about, like, you know, does the enemy top lane have a combat summoner? Does your top lane have a combat summoner? If they both have combat summoners, pathing top is usually pretty good. But most games, I would recommend pathing bot lane, but this is just a very special case scenario. Also, Jace is just like, he's a special type of champion. Pathing towards Jace is good. He can give you prio and he can snowball. But another rule I go by, which you don't see in this game, if I do have a tank top lane, I usually don't like to path towards my tanks. So anyway, because of that, this game I am going to path top lane. But those are just like, you know, those are the surface level rules that I go by. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. No game is the same, and you always got to do different stuff depending on, you know, what's going on. I'm just gonna look, see my bot lane is fighting level 1. When I see this, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, maybe I need to do something early game. Like, do I need to, like, skip a camp to cheese gank them? But usually on Lillia, it's kind of bad. And my bot lane ends up doing good there. So, I'm just going to do my red buff. I'm going to drag my red buff to the Krugs. Do my Krugs here. Do my Raptors. I did see that the enemy jungler is on his Raptors, so that means that he's pathing down. The reason I know that he's pathing down is because I'm taking my Raptors and I'm pathing up, so pretty likely that he's doing his Raptors and pathing down. And I'll do my Wolves. I'm gonna make sure that I'm paying attention to what's going on top lane, because that's the lane I'm pathing towards. So I'm, you know, make sure to be aware of what's going on there. Do I need to skip a camp to gank? Then I'll go to my blue. I just keep on checking to see, like, do I need to jump off my camp here? Looks like Quinn just warded the bush in the river. I'm gonna ping danger on the other side of the map, so my team doesn't die. Looks like there's nothing for me to do topside on this first clear, so I'll just do the crab. Potentially you could see if it's diveable top. It might be. I ping on the way here. This is the thing about Jay, it's like a lot of times he makes the lane very... I missed everything. But it's okay though. I tanked the tower. It was a good play. Mechanics, you know, we missed everything. But the thing about League of Legends, guys, I want you guys to focus on, you know, making the right decisions, not the right mechanics. You know, mechanics, they'll come with time. Everybody makes mistakes. They don't really matter. I'm gonna type my bad. My thesis has worked so far. I passed towards my high elo Jace. He set up a 3-wave crash, and we dove top lane. So, you know, is that gonna happen in your silver games? Probably not. Wouldn't trust the Jace in silver. Here, I'm considering, because of the bloodbath early game bot lane, I'm considering, you know, to punish them here if possible. But immediately it kind of looked like nothing, so I just backed off. But then I guess they started fighting for some reason. I do have a Q flash here that I can use to get a kill. So I'm just gonna fake out the Senna here, hit my E, Q flash, boom, double kill. So I want you guys to know, like, that was not necessarily the best gank, okay? The only reason I went for that is because I saw them on my screen use their summoner spells to fight level 1. So I knew they had no summoner spells. Right? If they had flash, I would never have skipped my full clear to do that. But that's just kind of like, you know, as you play more games, you're gonna understand when you can skip camps. Like here, my mid laner pings me to go on the way mid here. And enemy Victor's under tower. There's nothing I can do. So I'm gonna keep clearing. I'm just gonna ignore my mid laner's ping there. I'm gonna look top lane. Looks like my Jace died. See if I can punish that. I don't think I can. And boom, I see Kha'Zix ganking mid lane, so I just start pathing towards mid lane straight away. Use my E there to stop Quinn's recall because I'm a creep. Go back to our Grump. See that this guy's trying to recall here. So I see if I can stop him again. I don't know if this actually hit him or not. You guys don't need to do this. I'm just being I'm just being a weirdo. There's not much I can do here. So I'll just recall straight away. I got 1300 gold, perfect amount of gold for me. Aurora goes for play. I see Kha'Zix bot lane. Could have pinged them earlier. But they survive. I go towards my respawning bot lane camps. That's why I'm walking bot lane here. Throw out a little E. My E actually hits 2 of them. Imagine if I was level 6. My team kind of fights for no reason there. I'm like 1 minion away from level 6. I just decided to push this wave. Triple ult. Dodge the stun. It's a double kill. I don't really win against Kha'Zix 1v1. I see my Ezreal's coming, so I decide to bait a little bit. I stand with my minion for no isolation. Try to bait here. A little bit greedy there. I might have died, but I just decided to recall straight away here because I just can't get my items straight away. Even though it delays my clear, now I have my Landry's, which is a huge power spike. And I have Dark Seal. I can start snowballing. And now I'll just go back to my Krugs, my clear again. So you guys have seen, like, none of my ganks have been random, okay? Every single gank I've gone for has had pretty good reason behind it. Like, you know, it's either a counter gank or it's, you know, a setup dive because I know how Jace works, or it's me punishing the fact that their bot lane had no summoner spells. It's not just me guessing and hoping that a gank will work. Every gank on Lillia should have a reason behind it. It shouldn't be because you want to gank. Now I don't have ult for 60 seconds, so I just want to clear my camps, and then in 60 seconds I'll have my flash and ult and Liandry's, so every single fight should be winning at that point. But until I get to my ult cooldown, I'm just gonna farm. Hope this makes sense. This is how I have such a high win rate on Lillia. 68% win rate currently, 1200 LP. Just gotta follow these rules, and then you gotta slowly, like, you know, as you play more games, you'll understand, like, the, you know, the minor parts, like, you know, when the rules apply. You gotta be able to, in League, you gotta be able to learn, like, these concepts and then, like, understand every situation you can apply the concepts in. Get Victor's flash there. The Q for moon speed. Now I really want to fight this dragon, but my team is in base, so I'm just gonna do their blue buff first. Get out of there. I'm not really in a rush to do the dragon. You never want to start dragon, you know, when your bot lane is in base. I want to make sure that my team is ready to fight with me. So now, you know, my mid lane has pushed in. My Karma's with me. My Ezreal's trying to push right now. Me and Karma are just clearing vision in the river. Ezreal's about to crash this wave. I'm gonna let them push another wave. I'm just gonna fight for the Gromp. Like, I'm really in no rush to start the dragon itself. I want to try to deny as much as possible and have my team be able to take as much as they want. I'm gonna take this Gromp as well. And my team dove bot lane for some reason there. I'm not sure why, but it's all good. I'm gonna try to hit my ult on both of them. And I'll go for this guy as well. I think he's just dead. You guys will notice the E's I go for, a lot of times, I'll go for a guaranteed E, like by hitting the wall. If you E on a wall, it'll explode straight away, and then, you know, hit a cone behind it. So that's how I hit the Senna there. Yeah, I managed to get his blue. I got his Gromp. I killed the Kha'Zix. I killed the the Nyla. I have 2k gold right now, but I don't have ult. So instead of recalling and getting as strong as possible, there's no objectives on the map. I don't have ult. I just want to farm. Like, I'll use this downtime where I don't have ult and I don't want to fight anyway to farm. And then I'll have an even stronger base, and then I'll be back on the map with more gold and my ultimate up. So that's why I didn't recall here. Most of the times you want to recall when you have a lot of gold. But, you know, as a league player, you know, you gotta find when the rules don't apply. Like when you can do something else. That makes sense. So Kha'Zix died top lane here. I believe I can go for one more play since Kha'Zix died. But my Jace just killed him, so I'm just gonna recall. Now I'm gonna go bot side. That's where my camps will spawn next, and my bot lane is fighting over there. So I'm gonna go straight to this crab. I'm gonna realize this game because slowing them is more valuable than Riftmaker's Omnivamp and stuff this game. They have a lot of ranged champions. I'm gonna see if I can do anything here, but there's 4 people here, so I'm just gonna do the smart thing and back off. But might be able to cheese here. Like, my red buff is spawned, but I have some time to burn, so maybe I can cheese these guys. So try to E there to hit the Senna and Q to hit the Nyla, but fortunately the Senna dodged it. But I'm so strong that I should just be able to kill them here. Might for the slow. E. Now I'll just crash the wave so we can dive the Senna. But this is how you recover, like, a bad play. Like, my bot lane died and there's 4 of them there, but instead of fighting them directly, I repositioned. I did something sneaky and we turned it into a good play. Now I use my ult again, so guess what? I'm gonna go full clear. And it's not every game where you'll be able to ult straight away, every time. But if you can, it's good. If you can't, it's okay. You should still full clear. Don't skip your full clear to try to force an ultimate. Here I see Kha'Zix mid lane. Even though I don't have ult, I'm so fed. I'm just willing to fight this. And I believe I go for a Q flash here. Fortunately, Senna is too OP. He heals him. And I just kinda gotta leave now. Like, I don't have ult and I don't have flash, so Quinn is gonna clean up, but not much I could do about it. I know Kha'Zix though is super low, so I can check to see if I can take anything here. That's what I do. Quinn tries to stop me, but her flash. Now I do have a lot of ult. Now I do have a lot of gold, so I'm gonna recall here and leave my bot side up. And now I do have a lot of gold, so I'm gonna recall here and just run straight to my top side. General rule I like to go for is, you can see, like, you know, the Herald is up, the Void Grubs are up. General rule I like to go for, you can see the Herald is up, the Crab is up, so I'm gonna run straight to the Crab and Void and Herald first. Oh, I hit the E there. You always want to take what's furthest away first, and then you fall back to your own jungle. So I'm gonna take the Herald first. Then I'll take the crab, and then, you know, I might just take his raptors or something. Or I might go for the dragon. I'm always gonna prioritize being able to take. Unfortunately, I see Kha'Zix on the raptors, so I'll just go to my blue. I'll just go for the Quinn. Because she overextended. I didn't force anything, she just overextended. Now here, I personally don't really care about this dragon. I could just clear all my camps and get super strong. So I'm not really impressed about the... Oh, someone took my blue buff. Oh, good. I'm just keeping my eye on it, but like, I'm farming my camps. The enemy team is not strong enough to actually just force the dragon. And now I'll just do the dragon. And now I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, I have my ult, I have Herald, so after I do this dragon, I just want to find a good timer where I can use it, my Herald. I just throw out a random E there that hits, so... No, sometimes, hey, sometimes you just go bowling. Another E hits. I love Rylai's, like, you see how, like, just slowing them. Oh, the Kha'Zix here. Another E. I think Kha'Zix just dies while he's invisible. And now I'm gonna use Herald. We are 4 people here, 2 people are dead on their team. And I'll just take his camps. Oh, wolves are down.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
You'll notice, like, at this point in the game, I just throw away a lot of E's as I'm walking past. Like mid lane or bot lane, I'll throw it around at me. See if it hits, or especially in the river. No reason to keep it, like, you know, save your E when you're just farming camps. Now I'll just recall, I got 2k again. Should be able to build Zanyas. Should be able to build Magi's. Get my Magi's here. And now, when you're this far ahead, Baron is spawning soon. You're just kind of trying to take over topside vision. So you want to make sure that you're kind of like in range of your support. Your support doesn't die as you get the vision. I just go over here to do my raptors first. Then I can path towards the Baron as it spawns. Throw out another E. Do all these camps. I always want to group these up later in the game so you can like double smite them. My team is recalling, so I just decided to sync my recall. This is something... Oh, my Karma dies. Or does she? If she does die... Okay, they both died. Oh, my team recalled on vision, so... it is what it is. Gotta make sure they don't do the Baron for free. But we're so strong, so it's all good. I'm just gonna invade his blue. I don't really have anything else to do. Take his Gromp as well. Take his raptors. He's on his raptors. Get more vision of him. Now my team's ready. So unfortunately, like, my team died there. They delayed the game a little bit, but now we're back. They're back on the map, and now we can start Baron. And my Aurora one-shot the Kazakhs. Yeah, I guess, like, you know, pretty good takeaway from this game is, like, when your team feeds for no reason, don't panic. Just try to make the best decision you can from that point onwards, you know. Don't do anything desperate, because when you start doing something desperate, like, you're starting to throw your own lead, taking your own agency out of the game. I never, you know, took my agency out of this game. Like, I always, you know, I never died. I just kept farming. You know, now I'm like, you know, 9 CS per minute pretty much. And I'm probably up like 4 levels on the enemy jungler. Just because I played super patient. Oh, just gonna wait for my team. We start sieging their base.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
Then there we go. Like, there we go.
A summoner has disconnected.
Quick win. Hope you guys learned a lot, you know, about my thought process, and what steps to take, what to think about, what to consider. And yeah.